The moment Captain Amelia Rose stepped into Gate 47 that morning, she felt the tension before she even understood it. She had spent 22 years in the sky, long-haul flights, storms, emergency landings, passengers having babies at 30,000 feet. She had seen everything, but nothing prepared her for the sight unfolding in front of her. A crowd of flight attendants stood in a tight circle, some whispering, some staring, and in the dead center of them all stood First Officer Jordan Hale, a tall, calm, collected and unmistakably shaken. Amelia recognized that look instantly. It wasn't fear, it was humiliation. She pushed through the group. "What's going on here?" A senior flight attendant turned, her voice trembling. "Captain a broken bar, you should talk to him." But Jordan stepped forward before she could. "I'm sorry," he said quietly, "but Captain Laird refuses to fly with me." The words punched the air out of her lungs. "Refuses?" she repeated. "What do you mean refuses?" Jordan's jaw tightened, but his voice stayed steady. He walked onto the plane, took one look at me in the right seat, and said, and I quote, I don't fly with inexperienced diversity hires." A wave of shock rippled through the crew. Someone gasped, someone else muttered a curse. Amelia stared at Jordan. He wasn't an experienced he had logged more hours in the military than half the pilots in the airline combined. He had flown evacuations in Afghanistan, delivered supplies during hurricanes, and had been awarded for landing a damaged aircraft with no casualties. And yet here he was, a broken bar, being treated like he didn't belong. "Where is he?" Amelia asked through clenched teeth. Jordan gestured with his chin. "Still on the plane, waiting for them to assign him a real co-pilot." Every part of her went cold. Every part of her went angry. Amelia didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. When she moved, the crew parted like water around a ship's bow. And as she climbed into the aircraft, the air felt too still, too tight. Captain Laird sat comfortably in the left seat, flipping through the flight log like nothing had happened. "You're off this flight," she said, her voice sharp as ice. He looked up lazily. "Not until they remove Theta." "Finish that sentence," she said, stepping forward, "and I will personally escort you out of this airport." He blinked. "Amelia, don't be dramatic. I'm just saying, this airline has gotten carried away with Tessie." "You're done," she snapped. "Gather your belongings and get out." For a moment, he looked like he wanted to argue, but something in her eyes must have told him she wasn't bluffing. He muttered something under his breath, grabbed his bag, and stormed off the aircraft. Good, she thought. But this wasn't over, because the crew standing behind her, a broken bar, they looked almost relieved. And that worried her. Just as she stepped back into the jet bridge, she caught murmurs again. "That pilot was right. He doesn't fit the team. Do we have to fly today?" Her stomach twisted. Not just the captain, a broken bar, the crew? She walked toward them slowly. "Is there something you all want to tell me?" They exchanged glances. No one spoke, until finally the purser, Leanne, stepped up. "Well, Captain, a broken bar." She hesitated. "Jordan is a broken bar, and he's different. We just think maybe pairing him with someone more a broken bar experienced could be safer." Her voice was sweet, too sweet, the kind of sweet that coats something rotten. "And what exactly about him makes you uncomfortable?" Amelia asked. No one answered. She looked at them one by one. Men, women, different ages, different backgrounds, and yet some a broken bar, all holding the same silent judgment. "That man flew relief missions in war zones," she said. "He has more emergency landings than any of you have had birthdays, yet he has to prove himself to you." Silence. Disgust burned in her chest. "Gather your belongings," Amelia said. "All of you." Leanne blinked. "Yeah, I don't understand." "You heard me," she said. "You're all dismissed from this flight." "Are you firing us?" another attendant yelled. She didn't raise her voice. "Yes, and I'll be filing a report with the airline about what happened here." Gasps. Complaints. Someone muttered, "This is insane." But Amelia didn't flinch. The truth was simple. She would rather fly with an empty cabin crew than with a crew that judged someone for the color of his skin. 15 minutes later, Amelia found Jordan sitting at a gate bench, quietly folding his gloves, as if preparing for anything except what had actually happened. "Jordan," she said softly. He looked up, embarrassed, hurt, trying not to show it. "I'm sorry," he murmured. "I didn't want to cause this much trouble." "You didn't cause anything," she said, sitting beside him. "They did." He inhaled slowly. I've dealt with this before. People thinking I got here because of fat. You got here because you earned it." His eyes glossed, but he didn't look away. "We're still flying," she said. He stared at her. "With a broken bar? Who exactly?" Amelia smiled. "With whoever I can find willing to work a last-minute boarding. But we're taking that plane up today." She stood and extended her hand. "For the first time in 22 years, she said, "I want to fly with someone who actually deserves to be in the seat." Jordan hesitated just for a moment before placing his hand in hers. The airline scrambled to assemble a backup crew. 3 new attendants arrived, none from the original shift. Young, nervous, but eager. One of them, a guy named Mateo, whispered, "We heard what happened at a broken bar and honestly, Captain, we wanted to be here for him." Amelia nodded. "Good, because this flight is going to set a standard." The crew loaded quickly. Passengers boarded faster than usual. Rumors had already spread as some whispered. Some stared at Jordan with admiration, some with curiosity, but there were no complaints. Not one. As Jordan performed his pre-flight checks, Amelia watched him. A steady hands, sharp mind, calm presence. Everything a good pilot should be. "Ready, First Officer Hale?" she asked. He nodded. "Ready, Captain." 40 minutes into the flight, turbulence hit hard. The aircraft jolted. Passengers gasped. A child cried. Even the attendants stumbled. Amelia steadied her breathing. This wasn't unusual, but the storm forming ahead was. "Jordan?" she said. "Already on it." Adjusting thrust, running diagnostics, switching frequencies, working like he could read the sky itself. He maneuvered them through a corridor so tight it barely showed on radar. He anticipated wind patterns before the instruments did. He lowered altitude at the exact second the storm wall closed behind them, and within minutes clear skies, calm air, a plane full of relieved passengers. Amelia stared at him in astonishment. "How did you know?" Jordan shrugged lightly. "I flew a similar storm in 2018 during a rescue mission. Weather signatures looked the same." There it was, the moment every truth revealed itself. Jordan wasn't just qualified, he was extraordinary. When they landed, passengers applauded. Not the polite kind, the kind that comes from relief, gratitude, admiration. A woman stopped Jordan as they disembarked. "You saved us," she said, tears in her eyes. "My daughter is on this flight." "Thank you." A businessman patted his shoulder. "You're one hell of a pilot." Another passenger shook his hand. "I hope my son grows up to be like you." Jordan blinked rapidly, overwhelmed. "I was just doing my job." "Exactly," Amelia said quietly from behind him, "and you did it better than anyone else could have." He turned toward her this time with a real smile, one that reached his eyes. By the time they reached the terminal, the airline director was already waiting. Word had spread fast. He pulled Amelia aside. "We watched the footage from the gate. We heard everything the old crew said." And after reviewing the flight data broken bar he paused. "Jordan Hale is being recommended for Captain Track, effective immediately." Jordan overheard, eyes widening. "And Captain Rodessa broken bar," the director continued. "Yes, the entire leadership team asked me to tell you one thing." She raised a brow. "Thank you." Amelia exhaled slowly. For once, she had no words. Jordan stepped forward, voice soft. "I don't know what I did to deserve all this." "You existed," she said simply. And that was enough. For the first time that day, Jordan's shoulders loosened. He closed his eyes and breathed, deeply, fully, like a weight had been lifted from him, a weight no one should have been forced to carry. Hours later, after everything settled, the new crew gathered around him. Mateo grinned. "So broken bar Captain Track, huh?" Jordan chuckled. "Feels surreal." Another attendant nudged him. "You earned it." Amelia joined them, her flight bag slung over her shoulder. "Jordan," she said, "walk with me." They stepped aside. "You know," she said gently, "today wasn't just about the flight." He looked at her curiously. "It was about letting the right people take the sky," she continued. "And you were meant for it." Jordan swallowed hard. "Thank you, for everything." Amelia smiled. "Just promise me one thing." "What's that?" "When you become captain a broken bar, save me a seat on your crew." Jordan laughed, not nervously, not cautiously, but freely. "You'll always have a seat on my crew, Captain." And in the quiet hum of that empty terminal hallway, something unspoken but powerful passed between them. respect, gratitude, humanity. A reminder that sometimes, one act of courage doesn't just change a flight, it changes lives.